welcome. Today we're talking about self-driving technology. I love this tech, I love cars, I love finance. That is the reason I make these videos. I just have so much fun talking about these industries, compiling information about them, and just exploring overall future potential. Now today we're going to talk about two self-driving stocks that you guys can purchase today on the market. These are publicly traded companies. They're not as well known as, for example, Google or Tesla, which both have their own self-driving tech. Tesla is actually even manufacturing their own chips. Google is, I believe, manufacturing their own LiDARs, which is basically distance measuring using a laser. That way a self-driving car is able to determine distance from an object. Now, we're not going to be talking about Google or Tesla. We're going to talk about slightly less known companies because everybody's heard about Google or Tesla. And if you are investing in self-driving technology, you probably parked some cash into these companies. But we want to look beyond these guys. We want to look at the industry as a whole. And we want to see less known players that are actually dominating the industry today. Now, just do note that not all vehicles will be self-driving in the future. A lot of vehicles will be semi-autonomous, meaning they're just utilizing a large percentage of self-driving technology while still maintaining a driver in the seat. So this is tech like auto braking, blind spot detection, automatic lane changes, self-parking, etc., etc. All of those features require microchips, and those microchips are manufactured by the two companies we will be discussing today. First up, we have Mobileye. Mobileye is an Israeli-based firm that was acquired by Intel a few years ago. Very recently, they just had an IPO. So first quarter that they actually reported earnings since becoming a public company, they reported their revenues actually grew by almost 40% year over year. So for the last quarter, their revenues grew to $450 million. Their future business backlog just continues to grow constantly. If you look at Mobileye's Q3 charts, this company is constantly growing their revenues. We can see them growing around 47% clip year over year, same around 40%. Operating margins are still negative, but that means they're just heavily investing into their technology and they're sacrificing revenues and profit just for simple growth. Net income, slight loss, but this will improve as their volume overall improves as they just keep putting out more chips onto the markets. So we can see the revenues are constantly growing. They're around 1.8 billion right now. So this company is consistently growing, and we can see projected autonomous vehicle market worldwide will reach around 400 billion. These guys will probably capture at least 20% of that total market. Second company we want to talk about is NXP Semiconductors. These guys are out of Netherlands. They have been public for a while. These guys are basically chip supplier, microchips that are related to the autonomous vehicles. So blind spot detection, lane changes, parallel self-parking, basic stuff like that. If we look at their net income, they are constantly growing. They grew around $200 million last quarter. So they're doing around $2 billion to $2.3 billion in net income per year. That is growing at a clip from 10 to 30%, and that growth will increase as more vehicles have more microchips integrated into them. If we look, they have a pretty solid balance sheet. They have close to $4 billion in cash equivalents. These guys are not worried about going out of business, paying their bills, or maintaining operations. And we see their revenues doubled in the last 3 years to 3.4 billion. This will likely continue to increase by at least 10%, and it will accelerate in the increase as we move towards more self-driving technology, more self-driving cars on the road, etc., etc. So as we can see, these guys both of these companies are pretty solid businesses. They have some pretty amazing patents. I will leave a link below for some of the patents you guys can check out. The one that really stood out was that Mobileye currently owns a patent where displaying a sign with a pole underneath requires you to pay royalty to Mobileye. So they do actually have a patent that's just a patent that displays a sign. For example, if you have a stop sign, it cannot have a pole in the picture, in the image. If it does have a pole, you have to pay royalty to Mobileye. So for example, if you drive a Tesla or any other vehicle, you will see signs displayed above or to the side floating. They will never have a pole extending to the ground up because that patent is owned by Mobileye. Like I said, if you guys want to see other patents owned by these companies, I will leave a link below. But those were the two self-driving stocks that are one of the best investments into that industry currently. We're talking about Mobileye, we're talking about NXPI. And if you guys have any more questions or comments, please leave them below. As always, guys, have a great day.